Yo, yo, check, check, check. 1, 2. All right, we're good.
We should probably do our jobs.
Don't even get me started on how that's just the most. When I watched that for the first time when I was like 17. That fucked me up.
Yeah.
The end of because the whole time
I wish I never knew what was in the box, bro. Because
the whole time I'm watching that movie, I'm like, this is some good like straight up thriller mystery crime detective shit, right? Like
Psych.
this is dope. And then the end happens, and I was just like, fuck. I didn't want to go through that. I didn't want to have to.
Dude, it's heavy. It's heavy.
It's super heavy. My fuck, man. I still watch that movie to this day, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna be ready for it. And then I watch it. I live through that scene again. I'm like, I still can't take the full scale, the full depth of that scene and everything that happens in it. It's whew. Also, the best part about that scene is they don't show you what's in the box. They never explicitly show you the fact that her head is in the box. You can just imply and understand through Morgan Freeman's acting and the way he talks to what's his name? I want to say
Brad Pitt.
I want to say Ben Stiller, Brad Pitt.
Not him.
When he runs up to him and he's like, "Tell me she's all right. Tell me she's okay."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Fuck, I don't know what to tell you, bro."
Yeah. Dude.
Whew.
And
Oh my god.
not to mention, maybe the greatest final line in all of cinema history that Hemingway once said, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for."
I agree with the second part.
I agree with the second part. That got me.
The way
Keep talking.
the way he says it too.
My chicken nuggies are ready.
Your nuggies are ready. The way he says it too. He just you can feel like the defeat in his voice, like the fact that he's just like I'm so past broken now that all I can do is hear that and go, well, the second part's true.
Well, and it's because he's been fighting for the world.
Right. All this time, and then
That's what he this whole time he probably hasn't believed that it's a fine.
well, and then at the end of his career, he experiences the most like heartbreaking, crazy, shit he could possibly experience. That I don't know, man. That's just dope, is what that is.
All right, dude. Once I get my nuggies, we can talk about Justice League.
Fuck yeah, dude. Is that you mean Zack Snyder's Justice League?
That's what I mean. But also, good shit hitting record, bro.
Yeah.
Good shit. That's why you're the director.
That's why I push the buttons because I know when to push. I know when to push the buttons when I shouldn't be pushing the buttons.
Dude, honestly, same. Like, you know how many times I was thinking about this today.
Yeah.
I'm not naive enough to think that I'm always right.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm damn good at arguing.
Oh,
but like,
absolutely.
But not arguing, not even arguing like debate, but like straight up like getting in fights with people. Like, I'm good at. I know what to say.
Yes, to just get people pissed as fuck.
Yeah.
Like as angry as they could possibly. Dude, I know exactly what you're saying because I do the exact same shit. It's some people, by the way, it's way too easy.
Oh yeah.
It is way too easy to put. Like it's hard for me to get my buttons pushed. Like people can try to, and usually I'm just like, I don't know. Like that's how I feel. Like I don't know. But then you flip that for whatever reason.
I think that's why, because it takes a lot to actually upset me.
Yeah.
But like, I feel bad because I don't like it makes me sound like an asshole. But it's just kind of true. Like I feel like I know how to say the right things to get a reaction.
Yeah.
But also like am I a bully? Because that's what they say about bullies. Like don't give them if you don't give them the reaction, they won't want to bully anymore.
No.
Or does it make me good with words? I don't know.
I think it makes you a wordsmith more than anything. Yeah. It makes you
because I feel like I'm fairly good at saying the right things too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know when to say things and how to deliver them to get whatever response I want. And I'm not trying to sound cocky, but like that's how I think of myself getting in arguments.
Right.
And to be honest, it's led to me saying some shit that I kind of regret saying.
Oh, for sure.
Where like I say it because I know
I look back
I know
sometimes
what he'll
and
do,
like,
and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't.
yeah.
That was not.
I think about conversations I've had in the past. And I was like, man, maybe I did go too far there.
Yeah,
I did push it. Maybe I did push the button a little too much.
Let's start. I'm gonna talk into my mic.
Yeah.
I'll try not to get my chicken nugget.
This will be
crunching in there.
We can put this on behind the front row.
Hopefully that was catching some of it.
Oh no, yeah, I caught all of that. It's just it'll be a little quiet, but
I heard a quote one time.
Mm-hmm.
It said, if you meet one jackass in a day, well, you met a jackass. But if you meet 50 jackasses in a day, then you are a jackass. And that's kind of how I feel about myself, because sometimes I'm legitimately like hard to get along with.
Yeah.
Like I think there are more people than not that I can like, or there are less people than not that I could actually just sit and like have conversations with and like interact with daily.
Yeah.
And like wouldn't piss them off.
Well, it's because at the end of the day, those are the people you're even subconsciously trying to surround yourself with.
Yeah,
right.
I like to keep my circle small.
Like I think that's one I've been told this so many like when I first got this job I'm working right now, right? One of the guys above me was like, you're kind of standoffish. Like you come off really cold and like almost unfeeling.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's because I have to know that someone can put up with the way I can be. Like at my worst, I'm abrasive, argumentative, but I'm not like trying to argue with people. I'm just trying to push them to the point where they break, right? Where they break down, they get so upset that they, kind of like what we're talking about, like that they just get to this emotional level where they're like, I'm fucking pissed. I don't know why I do. I think it's kind of like a defensive thing for me, because if I can talk to someone who can put up with me when I act like that, that's the kind of person where at the end of the day I go, I'd like to talk to them again.
Yeah,
because
that's a good point.
Because they're going to be able to have an interesting conversation with me, because when I do get into like that conversational mode, I throw some crazy ass ideas.
I think this is part of it too, is that you and I are both we're not always vocal about it, but we're both very opinionated.
Yes.
So and because I don't really feel the need to like express all of my opinions on social media or like shout them to the world. I don't really care. But if anybody wants to sit down and have an honest conversation with me and ask me what I think about things, I will tell them, and I will tell them unapologetically.
Yes.
And I'm not afraid to express how I feel about people as well.
Right.
If you can handle that, and if that's what you're actually looking for, we will get along.
We'll get along great. But also
I'm not good at, like, I can sometimes play the game, but I'm not good at like just bullshitting people straight up.
Right. It's kind of hard.
Like even if there's people I don't get along with, I can try to find common ground. I can adjust my actions, but I'm not gonna lie to anybody. That's like I cannot bring myself to be dishonest to you about how I feel towards you. So if you're wanting to know that, or if you're legitimately asking me my thoughts about you as a person or something that you did or whatever, I'm gonna be honest about it.
Right. I don't know if this is. I feel like it's really easy for people to figure out or gauge who I like or don't like, because people I know I'm not a huge fan of are people where I will play the niceties. If I'm in the same room as you, I'll ask you how your day is. I'll say hi. That's pretty much it.
People have said that to me too. Like that. Yeah. It's easy to tell when I don't like somebody, and that's like it to a degree. It's a flaw, but it's not something that I don't want to change that.
Yeah, some people are good at they can have a conversation with literally anyone.
Yeah.
And I think if I need to have a conversation with someone that I don't want to have a conversation with, I feel like I can. I always have, I have that ability to find just the thinnest little piece of common ground or commonality enough to the point where I can at least get through a full conversation, but it's never something I actively pursue. Some people just want to have a conversation with everyone, want to get along with everyone. I've never, especially the older I've gotten, it's become increasingly so where I'm to the point where, like, if I don't want to have a conversation with you, I will not, unless someone else who has a higher stature than me says you have to. Well, and you have to get along. I feel like
you can also kind of just tell like what kind of vibes people are giving off, and if you're gonna be able to actually have a genuine conversation. Dude. But like this is, I think something that this is something I've like actually had to try to adjust a little bit because of like work, basically, because a lot of career building is who you know and who you have making relationships with. Yeah. And so I get kind of stuck where I need to be able to do that so that I can try to, build bridges and not burn them. But also I have this mindset, for better or for worse, where like if I have a job to do, I'm not there to make friends. Right. And that's something that's kind of gone. It's kind of followed me. Honestly, like I was kind of like that in college. I was like, I'm not here to make friends. I was like that when I was playing football at UNC. I'm not here to make friends. Yeah. And it's like, it's not something that I intentionally do. And I'm not trying to be a dick about it. But like, that's just like, I feel like that's just my automatic mindset going into things. And I kind of like, I have to let my guard down in order to like change that.
Right. I think that's, I go into that like especially in like with the new job I had, and I think that's one of the reasons why one of those guys is like, you kind of standoffish, man. It's like, yeah, it's because I'm not trying to be your friend right now. I'm trying to prove myself, and that comes with not trying to play nice or be like who I normally am when I'm around my friends. I feel like is very lighthearted and fun and easy to be around. But until that's established, I'm pretty, I can come off kind of cold, kind of disconnected from the more, the niceties of, being around people. But that's because, like you said, when I get into a situation like that, I'm not trying to be your friend first. I'm trying to be the best version of myself in the position I'm in first. And Correct. When I feel like I've gotten to the point where I am in that vein and all I have left to do is improve upon that, then I can open up a little more. I can give that time to other people to kind of start opening up and talking about, not necessarily more personal matters, but just things I'm interested in or
that's exactly it. Is that, and I think you're the same way, but like I will have those conversations with anybody. Like I don't really care if you want to talk, we will talk, but don't be right. But like you can't be offended if I don't want just like, hey, how's your day going? Like that kind of thing when I'm trying to go about my daily business. Right. But I think there's a fine line between being cold and being stoic. Right. And like sometimes I'm guilty of not showing enough emotion to where it feels it comes across as indifference. Yeah. And sometimes it is. Sometimes I am truly indifferent, and like if I don't care about something, I can't really pretend to care. And I'm not trying to say this to like sound like a dick, but like sometimes I do actually struggle with like empathy, because like if I I have a hard time like caring about things that don't directly affect me. And like that's like that certainly is a character flaw, but like that applies to so much more than just like the negative aspects of life. Right. Like I don't really get too high, I don't really get too low. Yeah. And I feel secure in all of my friendships, my family, my relationship, where I'm not like constantly seeking for like to find new people who I can connect with. Like it doesn't, if I could go the next week and not talk to anybody new and I'm going to be perfectly content. Oh yeah. I'm not like going to a job like, oh, I hope I can make friends with my coworkers. okay, like if I get along with some, cool.
Right. Yeah.
If not, we're all gonna work together.
That's probably one of the best things that's come out of this job is the fact that I connected with way more. I say way more. It's like 4 people. Like I work with a smaller group of people, and two or three of them I like actually. If I ever left this job, I'd be like, those would be people I'd reach out to every once in a while, and ask them, how they're doing, how their life is, stuff like that. I never expected that. I also never expected to have, every single person that I work with now, because it is a small group. It's like, including me, there's 10 people total that I work with or could possibly work with directly every day, which is kind of nice. And it's also nice that all 9 of those other people I actually get along with quite well. And I didn't expect that, and I never will expect that going into a new job either. But coming out of it, having that being in it now, having that feeling is kind of a relief. Because I don't know, I spent like a lot of time in college just being like, I am not in any way interested or tied down to any of these people except for the close friends I made outside of, class and all that. So like, I made friends in other places outside of class, but the majority of people that I was meeting were coming through, the classes I was taking. I'd meet 20, 30 new people each semester, and not a single one of them, except for maybe one, I actually became friends with. All the friends I made were outside of that.
Do you ever like stop to think and just be like, how many of like my Instagram followers would actually like reach out and ask me how life is? Because it's not many.
No,
like,
it's not a lot.
And part of it too is like I've realized that there's a handful of people that I'll like reach out to just to like talk to every once in a while, and I never get that back.
Right.
And at some point, I'm just kind of like, well, fuck it.
Well, all right. I guess that's it, dude.
But like that doesn't bother me. That doesn't hurt my feelings.
Right.
If you're not interested in what I have going on, that's fine.
I'm fine with
I don't really mind. Like I don't mind cutting people off.
Yeah.
If it's like a true friendship, or if it's something, if like cutting them off is gonna drastically change my life, obviously, like that sucks.
Right.
But like if it's somebody who like barely has any influence on my life, if they barely have an influence on my life like monthly, I'm not gonna be bothered that we like don't talk anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I'm fine with people being interested in my life to the point where they will like a photo I post. That's fine. But like I had this feeling you're kind of talking about whenever I hit 500 followers on Instagram, and I was like,
yeah,
who the fuck are these 500? Like I know like personally have had legitimate conversations with maybe a fifth of those people. Maybe. Probably not even.
Yeah.
That'd be a big stretch. And of those, conservatively, of those 100 people, the people that I would actually have legit conversations with, that would reach out to me, it's maybe 10. Like that's kind of that's one of the weird things about, not that I want to get into, it's one of the weird things about social media, how it kind of just homogenizes the culture of friendship and like what it means to be a friend with someone. Like, because when you get into social media, it's just kind of you're labeled as friends and followers, but in all reality, those people aren't actually your friend.
Well, I think that
you're my friend.
I think the term friend is used extremely loosely, and not even within the confines of social media.
As is the word follower. Too.
Always, just period.
Right.
Like there's so many, and I catch myself doing it, and I honestly try to correct myself. If I'm like, oh, I have this friend from high school, and then I'm like, fuck, no, I don't. I have a person that I used to pass in the halls and talk to a couple times a week. We're not friends. Like and I think you have to, like, everybody I feel like should kind of like figure out what
being a friend actually means to them, because it might be different for everybody.
Oh, yeah,
It might be enough for it to be somebody that you see at work once a week and ask how their day's going. If that's what a friend is to you,
Yeah.
fine.
That's not what a friend is to me, but hey, you know what?
I feel like
that's cool. Good for you.
I feel like
right?
the word friendship has lost so much like intimacy, I guess, where it's just thrown around and it's a term that has become just used for anybody that you know. And that's not that's not what a friend is.
That's honestly, I really feel like the advent of social media is what kind of brought on that cultural shift, where the idea of a friend is just maybe someone you knew in high school that you talked to once and passed in the hallways.
I would
day.
even say that there's people that I could text right now and like ask them a question about something we talked about a year ago, and like we could have a good conversation. That doesn't mean that we're friends. Not like everybody that I even talk to regularly aren't necessarily friends.
Right.
I mean, because it depends on the role that they play in your life and the kind of effect that maybe those conversations actually have. Yeah. Like if I text you once a week to ask if you have the answers to a homework problem, we're not friends.
That doesn't make us friends. Right.
Like I mean, dude, I don't know. It's
a weird thing to think about, man.
There's been times where I like look through my phone at like texts or my Snapchat or whatever.
Right.
Like the things that I use regularly to actually communicate with people.
Yeah.
And it's like if I look at my phone calls, I've called maybe the same 5 people over and over for the last year.
It's literally it's mom, dad, sister.
I've texted maybe the same 10 people regularly for the last year.
Right.
My Snapchat is even worse. Like my Snapchat, I Snapchat like 3 people.
Yeah.
And or maybe a little more. I Snapchat a handful of people though.
Right. Like
weekly, and the rest you have to scroll and find chats from like 2 years ago.
Dude, Snapchat is a weird fucking thing. I think the idea of it is kind of cool. It's a cool like way to converse with people, right? You're sending pictures of things yourself with little captions, right? Just short captions describing something that's happened. That's what it was. It's a modern. That's what it should be. It is a modern way to converse with people, right?
Yes.
But I do that with like I might snap my cousin Rachel every once in a while. Like we'll get in the thing where we're like for like 2-day period we're Snapchatting like back and forth constantly, and then I won't snap her for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's how almost all of my Snapchat I've had like maybe in total like 3 streaks with people.
Yeah,
across, and I've had this app for like since 2013, almost 10 years, and I've had streaks that have lasted longer than 5 days with maybe 3 people.
Yeah,
across all 8 years of having this, like. It's an interesting way to, but again, like it's not a way of conversing for me that is fulfilling enough to continue to do it. That's why I don't. That's why I fucking hate texting people too. It's just so unfulfilling.
This is the thing that I've noticed for true friendships.
Yeah,
I've noticed that Snapchat is just another way of communicating.
Right.
That is never the way of communicating.
Yeah, it's like
the friends that I have that I'm close with, I will send them Snapchats pretty regularly, and I'll also text them. I'll also hang out with them. I'll also call them, whatever, you know. And one thing I noticed too, whenever my girlfriend is home. We lose our snap streak because it's like that's a way to get like FaceTime. No, that's a thing. FaceTime.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a way to like kind of see each other, but like that all just kind of goes away if you're actually spending time with people. And so like I have and that applies to so many things. Like I'll send Snapchats to people that I never get to see.
Yeah.
But if I was seeing them regularly, I would just show them whatever I wanted to show them.
Right.
Or like,
Right.
Or I just have like, if I come up with some funny shit to say, which is often,
Yeah.
I just send it to like this. I just go down my list and select the top 10 and I send it. And like that, it's
my God.
it's such a strange way of communicating.
Right.
That kind of blurs the line, well, between communication at all and
Right.
just, you know, I don't know a better word, but it's like almost voyeurism.
Yeah.
Where like you just kind of watch people like live their lives.
Right.
Like I don't need to see a video of you like walking into your hotel room like
Right.
taking a pic
Because
why?
When you're doing it right, it's like it's an extension of a regular conversation with someone, right? It's just an added little bit of a conversation that you can like throw into something a regular form of conversation you're already having. When it's used improperly, it's this weird blur between conversationalism and like voyeurism. Like, hey, look at
what I'm doing in my life that you're not here for.
Look, now visualize what I'm doing in your head. Here's a picture.
Yeah.
Or here's a video.
It's weird, dude.
It's a weird blur when you're doing it wrong.
It's not natural. I mean, none of this is, but
No.
Really,
No.
it's just so strange.
That's what's great about podcasting is it's like renaturalizing the most like primal human form of like figuring things out, which is face-to-face conversation.
Yes, and because
which is why I love podcasting so much, because it's a way for me to actually feel like I'm doing something the right way.
Well, and because here's the thing too. If you and I were sitting in this room and these mics weren't here and this computer wasn't here, we would sit here and have this conversation.
We would be having this exact conversation. We're supposed to be talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
But instead, you hit record and now somebody gets to listen to this on their way to work tomorrow.
Yes.
Like that's really what it comes down to, and that's why podcasting is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because it gives a closer insight into our thoughts.
Yeah.
It's still taking advantage of this wonderful technology that we have at our fingertips. Mm-hmm. But it's so much better than, scrolling through Instagram mindlessly and looking at the very best parts of everybody's day. Because that's not real.
Right. This is like listening to a podcast is the closest way to get someone else to feel like they're also a part of the conversation without actually having been there. Snapchat doesn't accomplish that. Texting doesn't. Instagram feeds don't accomplish that. But being able to just put some earbuds in or get on YouTube, and watch a video of two guys just sitting down for an hour and a half and just talking about literally anything.
Yeah.
Anything they might be interested or they might not be interested in.
That's another great thing about podcasts. Think of something you're interested in and go listen to conversations about it.
You can find a conversation on anything you find interest in.
And by the way,
which is amazing.
They're extremely educational.
Oh,
I use podcasts all the time just for information. Like I had one that I started to help me practice Spanish. It's literally, and this podcast, I'll show it to you sometime, but it's like it's a conversation between a native Spanish speaker and somebody who is like just learning at the same time, and they just sit and talk about the Spanish language, like back and forth.
Dude, you gotta give me that. Dude, you gotta give me that podcast.
It's fascinating, but podcasts are so good for just things like that. A lot of the podcasts I listen to, by the way, most people would think are boring as fuck, and that's fine.
Yeah,
find whatever you like and then listen about it. I don't who cares?
Yeah, you don't have to like what I like. Like, dude, I listened to a podcast when I first really got into podcasting. Someone recommended a show called The Alien Minute. Mm-hmm. And it was these, I think, two or three guys with a guest that broke down every single minute of Alien. They went from 0 to 60, 61 to 120, like every single minute of Alien, they broke down, and it was each show is 15 to 50 minutes, breaking down 60 seconds of a movie, and everything that kind of it revolves around and kind of builds on top of that minute is what really becomes the interesting part of the conversation, because once you get into the meat of that podcast, they're talking about Ridley Scott and Sigourney Weaver and the process behind getting this movie made.
They just
and
go
how,
wherever the conversation takes
and
them.
how each little minute that they're looking at, each specific minute, reflects the things that they're talking. It was like the coolest way to look at a movie that I didn't even know existed until I listened to that. But not everyone's going to love that idea of a show. A lot of people are going to hear that and go, they're just talking about 1 minute of a movie for 30 minutes. Why would I waste my time on that? But for me, that's the most interesting way you could talk about a movie, is the fact that you're only watching 60 seconds and then you're getting on a show with one or two other guys or girls and just talking it out.
I think that's why I like Joe Rogan's podcast so much, is because he can have a conversation with anybody about absolutely anything.
Right.
Like, you find a guest that you like, a guest that talks about something you're interested in. You don't even have to know. You don't have to have ever listened to any of the Joe Rogan Experience.
Right.
But get on there, you find a guest that you think is interesting, and you will enjoy the next 3 hours of your life.
Oh, yeah. And what's great about him,
like,
too,
it's for his show is for anybody.
What's great about that, too, like his conversations with people where you think they're going to talk about politics or science or the military or whatever, it almost never starts where you think it's going to start, because he does kind of a rolling start. He'll get them in there. They'll just start talking. Like, someone sat down with him and he was like, let's start with whiskey. Not like let's talk about whiskey, but let's drink some whiskey. Like, let's go ahead and get the whiskey going. Like, and that's how the conversation started. And it wasn't a some drink specialist or mixologist or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just a dude he knew, one of his friends, and they're like, hey, let's get some drinks going.
Well, there's a lot of times
that's how the conversation goes.
There's a lot of times that you start listening to a Joe Rogan podcast and you're like 10 minutes in, and then he's like, by the way, thanks for being here. Like, that's hey, we're already talking.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Oh, we're already having a conversation, and now he's like.
But he's like, oh, this is a podcast. I need to introduce you, and then let's pick up just where we were. Like, it's almost a formality to like introduce the guest, which is awesome, because you don't have to know who they are.
It's to the point where like the only people he'll like immediately introduce are his best friends, and it's always kind of just in like a way where he's just like, "What's up, man? How like." Welcome back to the show. Like, how are you today? Like,
or like, how long was it since the last time you were on?
Right.
Like that kind of thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, man.
How long? We're posting this, by the way.
That was was like 30
No, like
minutes.
we're posting the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. That was 30 minutes.
That entire...
This will be the first behind the front row.
Let's talk Snyder Cut.
All right, wait.
But I'm going to get some water. Cut that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some water.
I'm going to